Okay, so here's my little extra video that you may not need to watch, but if you do, this may be very helpful for you. A lot of people are, particularly when we have math classes where you're not allowed to use calculators, a lot of people aren't very versed in how to use them, how to input numbers into them properly. So I'm going to go over this, and I'm going to go over some of the common mistakes. Now you have to understand I'm not going to be able to show you every possible permutation, every calculator. I'm going to have to talk in generalities. So you may have to watch this a few times. If you need to ask me questions about it, I can look at your individual calculator during my office hours or in lab or sometime like that. So here we go. As I said, I'm not going to be able to show you keystrokes for every single calculator type. I'm just going to talk about how calculators think about input. So here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how to input exponents generally, how to put numbers in scientific notation, and then multiplication and division in order of operations, which is very tricky. Okay, so exponents. All right, sometimes we need to raise a number to a power. So I need to take like, 3 to the 4th or something like that. To do this, it's usually one of these buttons. There's a button that looks like X to the Y or a little caret. Sometimes it's Y to the X. Don't get too hung up on it being exactly those letters, but it might look like that. So X to the Y or Y to the X, and I can't remember if there's any other permutations, but that's generally it. It is not, if you see something that's, it's not this, that isn't the button, the E with a caret. It's not the EXP button. That is not exponent either. We will use that button, but that is not the button to make an exponent. It's one of these. So if you type in 6 to the 3rd, you'd probably need to input one of the following. 6, then that button, then 3. Or that button, and then 3. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to get out your calculator right now while you're watching this video, and I want you to calculate each of the following and make sure you're getting the right number. If you're not, try to find the button that gives you the right number. If not, you should come talk. So 3 to the 2 should give you 9. Hopefully you got that. 6 to the -1 should give you 1.6 repeating times 10 to the -1. Or actually, not times negative. I have that. Sorry. My calculator's being screwy right now. Should be 0.16 repeating. That's what I meant to say. 10 to the 5th should give you 10,000. No, 100,000. I'm trying to do it in my head. 100,000. 10 to the -2 should give you 0.01. So hopefully you found that. So you'd be putting in 10 caret -2, or 10 y to the x 5. Now with the negatives, these negatives here and here, the way you input a negative might be different. Some people, there's this weird button like this. It's not the negative sign, but there'll be a negative in a parentheses. And you may have to, different calculators are different. Usually if you have this button, you push this before your exponent. So you do 10 caret -2. That's what you normally do. Some calculators have a different button that looks like this. It looks like plus minus. And think about this less as putting it, the other button is like sticking a negative sign in front of something. This one is like saying that number that I just input or just got, I want to change its sign. So here you push it after the thing in question. So 10 caret 2 plus minus. That makes the 2 negative. It applies to whatever's right before it. If you did this, caret plus minus 2, you actually make the whole, this gives you 10 to the -2. This gives you -10 to the 2. You put the negative in front of the 10. So be aware of that. Numbers in scientific notation, this is really difficult for people. This messes people up sometimes. Because you see it on paper as, 4.5 times 10 to the 5th. So people really want to do 4.5 x 10, 5. And they want to do, you can do this if you do 10 caret 5 or 10 y or x to the y or y to the x, you can do that. But it's not the best way to do it. It's not the best way to do it because the calculator doesn't see this as one number the way it should. The calculator sees it as an operation. So the calculator can't tell it's supposed to be a single number, not just a series of numbers that have to be in a calculation together. So it doesn't understand the difference between typing in 3 times 10 to the third and 4 times 6 to the 10th. It doesn't understand that this is a scientific notation number. There is a way to put it into the calculator so that it understands this is a single number in scientific notation. And that way involves, that's where that exponent button, that EXP. So this button will take a lot of different forms on a lot of different calculators. It might be an E, an EE, EXP, and these E's are always capital. The lowercase e is something different. It's either capital E, capital E, capital E, exponent, or 10x10. Now, it's something really important you got to realize when you push one of these buttons. This button stands for what I just put in times 10 raised to some power. You don't need to put in the 10 when I use it. In fact, if you do, it will give you an error. So I want you right now to try to enter this number, 3 times 10 to the 4th. I want you to try using one of those buttons, one of the exponent buttons. The way you should put it in is 3, then your exponent button, then 4. It is not necessary to put the 10 in. If you put the 10 in, so this, understand, it goes 3, EE4, your calculator goes, oh, 3 times 10 to the 4th. Okay, but if you go 3 times 10 EE4, your calculator goes, oh, 3 times 10 times 10 to the 4th, because this E is times 10 to whatever comes after it. This would actually be 3 times 10 to the 5th. If you find yourself continually coming up 1 power of 10 off, you are probably doing something like this. And you need to talk to me. It's this. You don't input the 10, actually. You just hit coefficient, exponent button, power. So, when entering a negative number, you have to do that in the same way. Okay. Sometimes your calculator will show numbers in different ways. Numbers your calculators almost always have ways of showing numbers in scientific notation. This one is 3.2 times. It'll show sometimes 3.2 E5. Sometimes it will show it like this. This can be very confusing. It'll be like 3.2 and then a little 5 floating up here. That means 3.2 times 10 to the 5th. That's what it's intended to mean. Your calculator usually will do this automatically once they reach a certain size, big or small. It's usually after 10,000 or 10,000th or something like that. Okay. Now this one bites people all the time as well, talking about order of operations. Your calculator cannot read into what you mean. It doesn't understand intent. It only knows what you program into it. So, you have to understand the way a calculator processes operations. A calculator does a subtotal after each operation in order and does its very best to try to follow the order of operations. So, I want you to, just for a moment, I want you to get your calculator out, pause this video, calculate this. If you put in 1, you did it right. This should be 1. If you got 9, you made a mistake that is really common. And if you did, I'm glad you did. That way we can get it figured out. Now, if you look at this, you should know, just from your own math skills, that this is going to be 1, right? What's 6 times 4? Well, it's 24. What's 8 times 3? Oh, well, that's 24. Well, 24 times 24 divided by 24 is obviously 1. Well, what can sometimes happen is that you can type it into your calculator like this, right? It looks the same to you, right? Or it might. Maybe you're experienced enough and you know that it's not. But this may look the same to you as this. This is very different to your calculator than what we had written before. what was written before was divide the total of 6 times 4 divided by the total of 8 times 3. So there's the way it's written, there's an understood parentheses here, right? Now, what your calculator did was it goes, oh, okay, 6 times 4 is 24. No problem. Got it. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, now that I've got my 6 times 4 is 24, I do the next thing. Oh, divide it by 8. Well, divided by 8 is 3. Cool. And then, and then times 3. Awesome. So, funny. Can't believe I actually had that wrong on my slides there. So, getting back to the slide. There we go. Sorry for the jump. I'm sure that was kind of jarring. So it goes, then 8 times 3 is 9. Okay, or 3 times 3 is 9. No problem. So you have to understand your calculator takes everything in order as it goes. It goes 6 times 4, answer. Divided by 8, answer. Times 3, answer, which is not what you meant for it to do. So there's two alternatives on how to do this. One, you can use parentheses. A lot of calculators have parentheses you can put in. Or, this is my preferred method, but this messes with people sometimes. I think sometimes they get very confused. I like to do it this way. If what we meant was 6 times 4, divided by 8 times 3, what we really want the calculator to do is we want it to divide this by 8 times 3. But it's really the same thing. We can take this and divide it by 8 and then divide it by 3 separately, right? This is okay to do. I can take 24 divided by 8 and get 3, right? And then divide that by 3 afterwards. So what I like to do is I would go 6 times 4 divided by 8 divided by 3. In other words, anything that's in the numerator, I multiply by it, and anything that's in the denominator, I divide, even if I'm dividing multiple times. This may seem weird to you, but the calculator is not thinking of this way. 6 times 4 divided by 8 divided by 3. That's not how it's thinking of it. It's thinking of everything in order. It's going to go, oh, okay, well, 6 times 4 is 24, divided by 8 is 3, divided by 3 is 1, which is what you want in the first place. So hopefully that helps clear things up a little. This is really super crazy important when dealing with numbers in scientific notation. Because if you look at this, remember I said before there's a couple ways to put numbers in scientific notation in your calculator? If you don't use the exponent button, if you literally went 3.11 times 10 caret 4 divided by 2.0 times 10 caret negative 2, your calculator would say, oh, 3.11 times 10 to the 4th divided by 2 times 10 to the negative 2, right? Which isn't what we want. It gets confused. You can either use parentheses or something that's really nice in this case. If you use the exponent button, your calculator will actually understand this as one number and this as another number. So if you went 3.11, EE 4 divided by 2.0 EE negative 2, it'll get that. It will understand that without any trouble. So I hope that makes sense. And that is all I have to say about that. So hopefully that'll help clear that up. Watch it a few times if you need to, and if you're still lost or confused, please come talk to me, because this can kill you faster than anything. So make sure you're aware of how to put things in your calculator. Let me know if there's any trouble, because I can generally help clear these.